They were surrounded, completely trapped. No radio contact, no air support coming, no extraction route available. "Ridge 13 has been marked clear," the commander shouted over gunfire. But then, crack! A shot rang out from the mountaintop above, from Ridge 13. The position confirmed empty by drone surveillance. A SEAL whispered desperately, "Who the hell is up there?" No one could answer him. Just a mysterious shadow, and a rifle that belonged to no military force still in existence. 6 elite members of SEAL Team Delta were conducting a high-priority mission in Korshov, a treacherous mountain region with extreme terrain and multiple dead zones for radio communication. They had successfully raided an enemy compound deep in hostile territory, rescued a captured intelligence agent who had been held for 3 weeks. The mission seemed completely successful, but during their carefully planned extraction route, they were suddenly hit by a massive and coordinated ambush. Now they were pinned down in a narrow valley basin with steep walls on all sides. 3 sides were occupied by enemy snipers with perfect firing positions. Behind them stood Ridge 13, a steep cliff face rising 200 meters above their position. UAV reconnaissance had reported it completely clear of any hostile presence. Their sophisticated radio system was being actively jammed by enemy electronic warfare equipment. No way to call for close air support or emergency extraction. Battery life in their equipment showed 40 minutes remaining, and their ammunition supply was only sufficient to hold their defensive position for approximately 10 minutes of sustained combat. Sergeant Ortega quickly ordered his team into defensive positions behind the limited rocky cover available. Jake asked urgently, "What about Ridge 13? Should we be concerned about that position?" Ortega replied with confidence, "Negative. Intelligence confirmed it's clear. Nobody's up there. UAV swept it twice." But their female SEAL team member Rena whispered quietly after carefully checking through her high-powered scope, "Sergeant, I think I see someone moving on Ridge 13. Movement confirmed." Cut to scene high up on the ridge. A lone figure kneeling in perfect concealment, methodically adjusting a precision rifle. The 6 SEALs were absolutely elite warriors. They had survived multiple combat operations in Afghanistan, Iraq, and Syria. But this particular situation was completely different from anything they had encountered. The enemy fire patterns were too coordinated, too precise, too well planned. Someone had been watching them for hours, studying their movements, learning their tactical patterns. "How long can we realistically hold this position?" Jake asked, sweat dripping down his face despite the cold mountain air. Ortega checked his ammunition count carefully. 8 minutes of sustained fire, maybe 10 minutes if we're extremely conservative and lucky. The rocky terrain offered minimal cover from multiple angles. Each defensive position they attempted to establish was immediately targeted by devastating crossfire from multiple enemy positions. Rena kept her powerful scope trained steadily on Ridge 13. Something felt fundamentally wrong about the situation. The UAV reconnaissance data clearly indicated empty terrain, but her combat instincts were screaming otherwise. "Movement definitely confirmed on Ridge 13, she whispered into her throat microphone. "Repeat, definite movement confirmed on the ridge." Ortega's blood ran cold with realization. If Ridge 13 was actually compromised by enemy forces, they were completely surrounded with absolutely no escape route available. The enemy obviously knew exactly where they were positioned, had probably been planning this elaborate ambush for many hours, possibly days. "What are our realistic options here?" Ortega asked his experienced team. Thompson, their explosives expert, suggested, "We could attempt to blast through the eastern sniper position with grenades." Negative. Way too much open ground to cover. We'd be cut down immediately. Martinez, their combat medic, added, "The intelligence agent we rescued is still unconscious from his injuries. Can't move quickly." Jake reloaded his rifle with practiced efficiency. "So we make our final stand right here." But Rena never took her trained eyes off Ridge 13. That shadow moving up there. It wasn't moving like a typical enemy combatant preparing an attack. It moved with deadly purpose, like a guardian angel watching over them. I have no name on any official military roster, no unit left to return to after the mission, but I recognize the distinctive sound of absolute desperation, even when it's just labored breathing that no one else can hear. High up on Ridge 13 stood a European woman with shoulder-length brown hair, wearing a silver-gray tactical jacket with no military insignia or unit markings visible. She gripped an SR-93 Black Ghost precision rifle, a weapon once completely banned from military circulation due to its extreme lethality and devastating accuracy at long range. No laser sight attachment, no electronic targeting systems, no digital assistance, just pure skill developed over years of training, calculating trajectories by eye, compensating for wind patterns, and relying entirely on muscle memory. Crack! The first shot echoed across the valley, eliminated the eastern sniper position instantly, opening a small but crucial gap in the enemy's coordinated attack pattern. Sergeant Ortega was completely stunned by the unexpected development. Someone's providing sniper support, coming from Ridge 13. How is that possible? Two more precisely aimed shots followed in rapid succession. An RPG launcher about to fire was neutralized before the operator could engage, and an enemy soldier coordinating radio communications was taken down with surgical precision. Jake observed the pattern. That's definitely not random shooting. That's advanced military training and tactical awareness. On the mysterious woman's left arm was a faded military tattoo, barely visible through years of weather and combat. Delta 4, Obsidian Echo. She whispered to herself with grim determination, "I'm not here to save anyone today. I'm here to ensure what happened at Garmin never happens again to another team." Each shot came with surgical precision and perfect timing. Every round was calculated not just to eliminate targets, but to create maximum psychological impact on the remaining enemy forces and disrupt their coordinated attack plan. The woman, whose real name was Mira, had been watching through her powerful scope for over 6 hours. She had observed the SEALs enter the valley during their mission, had watched patiently as the enemy ambush was methodically set up around them. She could have warned them through radio contact, could have called their frequency, and provided advance intelligence about the trap. But Mira no longer trusted radio communications, no longer trusted backup support promises, no longer trusted anyone except the familiar weight of her rifle and the cold mathematics of a perfect shot. Her breathing remained perfectly controlled and steady. Heart rate maintained at exactly 60 beats per minute, the same physiological state it had been during the Garmin operation, before everything went catastrophically wrong and her entire team died. Through her scope, she could clearly see Sergeant Ortega's face, young, determined, dedicated. He reminded her painfully of Captain Reynolds from her old unit, before Reynolds was torn apart by an improvised explosive device that military intelligence had completely missed. The enemy forces were rapidly repositioning now. They realized someone was systematically picking them off from the supposedly empty Ridge 13 position. Mira made precise adjustments for current wind speed, 8 knots from the northwest, elevation differential, 1,247 meters above target zone, horizontal distance, 640 meters to primary targets. Her rifle bore no name engraved on the stock, no unit markings or military identification. It was as completely invisible and untraceable as she had become. Crack! Another perfectly aimed shot. The enemy field commander coordinating the entire ambush dropped instantly. She could hear them shouting frantically in their native language. "Go, sniper! Go, sniper, attacking from the ridge!" They weren't wrong about that assessment. Mira had effectively died at Garmin in 2013. What remained now was just muscle memory, combat instincts, and the solemn promise she had made over 12 unmarked graves in a forgotten military cemetery. Never again would she allow good soldiers to die because of her fatal hesitation. Never again would she freeze when decisive action was required. Never again would she watch helplessly as teammates paid the ultimate price for her moment of doubt and uncertainty. The SEALs far below were moving now, finally able to maneuver, using the chaos and confusion to reposition tactically. Good. They were thinking strategically instead of just defensively hoping for rescue. But there were still 4 active enemy positions remaining, and Mira's ammunition supply was limited to only 3 rounds left in her magazine. She would have to choose each target very carefully. Ortega's voice crackled through radio static interference. Unknown shooter on Ridge 13. If you can hear this transmission, we desperately need one more window of opportunity to extract our wounded. Mira smiled grimly to herself. She couldn't actually hear their radio transmissions. Her communication equipment had been completely destroyed years ago during her escape from Garmund. But she could read lips through a high-powered scope with perfect clarity. And she understood the universal language of desperation in any culture, any military force, any desperate situation. The mathematics were simple now. 6 lives hanging in the balance. 4 remaining enemy positions. 3 bullets left in her magazine. Time was running out rapidly. Crack! Her 4th shot of the engagement. The machine gunner covering their primary escape route was eliminated with extreme precision. The SEALs moved immediately. Fast, professional, coordinated. Exactly as elite soldiers should respond to tactical opportunities. Jake looked up toward Ridge 13 as they bounded toward safety and extraction. For just a brief moment, he thought he saw a lone figure silhouetted against the bright sky, then absolutely nothing. Just empty ridge, just mountain wind whistling through rocks, just the lingering echo of precision shots that had saved 6 lives. I once aimed at a high-priority target and lost my entire team behind me. Since that day, I learned not to shoot at people, but to shoot at critical moments. Only 1 bullet per opportunity, 1 perfect instant, cannot afford to miss. After the SEAL team successfully extracted from the valley and returned to base, they filed detailed after-action reports describing an unidentified sniper providing support from Ridge 13A. Regional Military Command immediately reviewed archived UAV surveillance data from the operation and discovered the mysterious figure had been in position for over 6 hours before the firefight even began. Weapon signature analysis, tactical positioning, and angle of concealment. All the technical data matched archived records from the legendary Delta IV unit, which had been officially disbanded and classified after the Garmund disaster in 2013. One name gradually surfaced through classified database searches. Mira Volin, legendary precision sniper, sole survivor of the Garmund operation, then completely vanished from all military records. Sergeant Ortega was brought in for extensive debriefing and questioning. Are you absolutely certain it was her providing the support? Negative, sir. But those eyes through the scope, they didn't belong to someone simply following standard orders. They belonged to someone who had failed catastrophically once before and would never allow it to happen again under any circumstances. The investigation gradually revealed fragments of classified information, pieces of a complex puzzle that military command had desperately tried to bury and forget. Delta IV had been an elite 6-person reconnaissance and direct action unit, completely off-the-books operations, the kind of specialized team that handled missions too politically sensitive for official military records or public acknowledgement. The Garmund operation had been a hostage rescue mission, 12 innocent civilians trapped in a heavily fortified compound. Military intelligence had assured them of minimal enemy resistance. Military intelligence was catastrophically wrong. The carefully planned ambush killed 5 members of Delta IV almost instantly. Mira had been positioned in overwatch, 800 meters away from the action, watching helplessly through her scope as her entire team was systematically executed by enemy forces. She had possessed the perfect shot, could have eliminated the enemy commander before the ambush began, could have created enough chaos and confusion for her team to escape successfully. But she hesitated for 1 critical second, 1 fatal heartbeat of doubt. By the time she finally pulled the trigger with determination, it was already too late to save anyone. The official military report listed Mira as KIA, killed in action. Much easier for command than explaining why the sole survivor had disappeared into the mountains and never returned to duty. But local villagers had persistent stories over the years. Tales of a ghost sniper who mysteriously appeared during insurgent attacks on civilian populations. Never showed her face to anyone, never spoke to locals, just protected innocent people from the shadows. 3 years of consistent rumors and reports. 27 confirmed interventions documented by various sources. Always executed from extreme long range. Always with surgical precision. Always completely gone before anyone could investigate the scene. Military command had officially dismissed these reports as local folklore and mountain legends. Trauma-induced hallucinations from surviving soldiers and grateful civilians. Until the Ridge 13 incident provided undeniable evidence. Now they possessed radio intercepts, video surveillance evidence, and detailed ballistics reports that couldn't be explained away. Mira Volin was definitely alive, and she was actively hunting opportunities to intervene, not seeking personal revenge against enemy forces, not attempting to achieve redemption for past failures, simply focused on prevention of similar tragedies. A combat medic discovered an old piece of paper carefully tucked inside the medical supply kit after the mission. No one could explain how it had gotten there. It contained a hand-drawn map of Ridge 13 with precise tactical markings, along with handwritten text in familiar script. "I am not a ghost haunting these mountains. I just haven't found the place where I should stop protecting people yet." Military handwriting analysis confirmed the script matched samples from Mira's service record and personal files from before Garmand, before everything in her life changed forever. Sergeant Ortega formally requested permission to lead an investigation team to Ridge 13 personally, to find concrete answers and possibly make contact. His request was immediately denied by higher command. Some ghosts, the generals decided after careful consideration, were better left alone to continue their work. But Jake couldn't simply let the mystery go unsolved. That brief moment when he looked up and saw the silhouette against the sky continued to haunt his thoughts and dreams. He had been saved by someone who officially didn't exist according to military records. Someone who had chosen to protect complete strangers rather than seek justice or revenge for her fallen teammates. Why would she do that? He asked Ortega over beers 3 months later, still processing the experience. "Because," Ortega replied thoughtfully, staring at his drink, "some people don't fight for victory or glory. They fight so others don't have to experience the devastating defeat they've already endured." Jake nodded with growing understanding. He was transferring to sniper training instruction, inspired by a ghost who had reminded him what true precision really meant in combat. Not just hitting your designated target accurately, but choosing exactly the right moment to pull the trigger for maximum impact. The legend of Mira began spreading quietly through military circles, not through official channels or documented reports, but through whispered stories around base campfires, through specialized training exercises that honored precision over raw firepower, through the growing understanding that some protectors don't wear official uniforms or carry military identification. Comment for the one who stayed, if you understand that some people don't need to be seen, only to see others survive. A specialized reconnaissance team was immediately dispatched to investigate Ridge 13. They found absolutely no trace of Mira or her equipment. Only carefully constructed sandbags for stable shooting positions, 3 spent SR-93 shell casings, and a single set of boot prints leading directly toward the cliff edge and disappearing. Sergeant Ortega quietly built a small stone cairn without engraving any name or unit designation, only inscribing the simple line, "For the one who shot when no one else could." Jake officially left active duty and transferred to sniper training instruction at the Advanced Warfare School. "I used to think Ridge 13 was completely empty," he would tell his students. "Now I know that no one being there doesn't mean no one was ever watching and protecting from that position." his students would inevitably ask about the story behind his teaching methods. About the legendary ghost sniper who saved an entire SEAL team against impossible odds. Jake would set up the tactical training scenario. 6 friendly forces pinned down, 3 hostile positions, 1 potential overwatch position, no communication available, no backup support coming. What's your tactical decision? Most students would immediately focus on the technical aspects of the shot, wind speed calculations, distance measurements, target priority assessment. The best students would ask the deeper question, what happened to the team that was there before us? That's when Jake would tell them the complete story about Garmin, about professional failure, about the crushing weight of perfect shots that arrived just 1 second too late to save lives. Precision shooting isn't just about mechanical accuracy, he would explain to them. It's about perfect timing. It's about choosing the exact moment when your shot will matter most for the people depending on you. The advanced training program developed a new qualification exercise officially called the MIRA standard. No radar guidance systems, no electronic assistance or computer calculations, no spotter support or backup communication, just the individual sniper, their rifle, and the pure mathematics of salvation under pressure. Students who successfully passed this demanding test were marked with a small notation in their permanent files, Mountain Guardian Qualified. They never knew what that designation meant, but their instructors understood completely. It meant they had demonstrated understanding that sometimes the most important shot isn't the one that eliminates the enemy threat. It's the shot that saves innocent people who are depending on you. Jake kept a framed photograph on his office desk. The view from Ridge 13, overlooking the valley, empty ridge, clear blue sky, no signs of human presence. But he knew the truth now. Empty didn't mean abandoned by someone who cared. Silent didn't mean gone forever. And sometimes the best guardian is the one you never see or meet until you desperately need them most. Other SEAL teams began reporting similar mysterious incidents during combat operations. Ghost support appearing from impossible positions. Perfect shots executed from ranges that shouldn't be tactically feasible with available equipment. Always occurring in situations where good people were trapped. Always when conventional military support wasn't available or had been delayed. Never any physical evidence left behind afterward. Never any direct contact made with supported forces. Just the lingering echo of precision shooting, and the certain knowledge that someone was watching over them from the shadows. The legend grew stronger with each reported incident. Comment, I know that silence, if you've ever trusted someone you couldn't see, but felt them right when it mattered most. 1 year later, at the annual Garmin Memorial Service honoring fallen soldiers, a brown-haired woman quietly placed a single rifle bullet wrapped in white cloth on the unnamed stone cairn. Base security cameras experienced mysterious electronic interference for exactly 11 seconds during her visit. No clear facial identification was possible. At the military shooting range, a new qualification test was officially introduced, the MIRA standard for advanced precision shooting. No electronic assistance allowed, no backup support systems, no second chances or do-overs. Students would ask their instructors, why is it called that specific name? The instructor would always reply with the same answer. Because when there's absolutely no one left to help you, someone still shoots so you can live to see another day. And every time SEAL teams found themselves trapped in hostile territory with no communication, no support, and no hope, they would look up at the empty ridgelines surrounding them and whisper hopefully, maybe she hasn't left this area yet. The legend continued growing organically, not through official military channels or documented records, but through whispered stories around base campfires, through specialized training exercises that honored precision over overwhelming firepower, through the deep understanding that some protectors don't wear official uniforms or carry standard identification. Some heroes don't need names or recognition, and some shots are fired not for personal glory or advancement, but for the simple belief that good people deserve to go home safely to their families. Mira Volin had become much more than just a person or soldier. She had transformed into a powerful idea, The idea that professional failure isn't necessarily final, that redemption doesn't require public recognition or official acknowledgement, that sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is remain completely invisible until someone desperately needs you to be seen. In sniper schools around the world, instructors would end their advanced courses with the same philosophical question. If you could take one perfect shot to save people you've never met and will never meet again, would you take it without hesitation? The students who answered yes immediately without needing to think about it, those were the ones who truly understood the lesson. Not the technical specifications of their precision rifles, not the mathematical calculations of ballistic trajectories, but the moral weight of choosing to be someone's anonymous guardian angel, even if they never learned your name or knew you existed.
If you believe in stories that touch the heart like this, leave a comment. And don't forget to subscribe to LN Steel Heart Stories. We tell the stories that shouldn't be forgotten. Real people creating and telling stories, not mass-produced AI. Share this if you believe some heroes are meant to remain in the shadows.